Hey everybody, it's Master Galengeist here, bringing you my review of the pilot episode of Designated Survivor. So, overall, I really enjoyed this episode and thought it was a pretty strong start to a new series, and I'm kind of interested to see where it's going to be going from here. So, it begins with the main character that we're going to be following, Tom Kirkman. He's sitting in this room and watching the State of the Union, and then we get to see that things aren't going right and kind of the TV's going out with the State of the Union. He's talking with his wife about how his section of this speech has been like kind of screwed up and all that, and talking with his daughter as well, who's staying up way past her bedtime, and we get to see kind of that interaction, and then we see that the Capitol building has been attacked, and kind of get to soak that in, and then we get to 15 hours earlier, and we get more information. We see that Tom is the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. And it's kind of one of those lower positions, but it's still important to working with the president and all that, and being part of the cabinet and all that. And we see the family dynamic of him and his wife, him and his daughter, and him and his son, Leo. So he's pretty good with his wife and all that, and she's a working mom doing her lawyering as well, and talking about how she only gets about like 4 hours of sleep. And they've got really good chemistry. I really like how Kiefer Sutherland's got chemistry with the Alex character, and it doesn't seem kind of forced or anything. So then we get to see him interacting with his daughter Penny, and that of course has pretty good chemistry as well. He clearly loves his family, wants to do the best for him, trying to cook breakfast even though he really can't. So he's like, all right, do you want scrambled eggs or scrambled eggs? He's like, scrambled eggs. And his son, Leo's, of course, the angsty teenager, being a dillweed, like, oh, I'm doing this and that and the other. And it's like, okay, whatever. I don't know what you're talking about, going on. So they're kind of getting in their grooves and everything. Tom's talking with his chief of staff about how pretty much all their stuff, all their initiatives being cut from the State of the Union. And it's kind of important with the housing and urban development to kind of help people and all that, make sure everybody's got homes. And they're like going through kind of seeing where they are in the White House and all that, seeing the writer of the State of the Union speech, talking with the president's chief of staff, and how he was going to be offered an ambassadorship and essentially being fired from the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development because he's trying to push and stuff and hasn't been playing ball with the president, evidently. So he gets home, talks this over with his wife, is like, oh, all right, I'll commute or whatnot. So there's kind of some tension there because everybody had pretty much been settled in Washington. Everybody's been doing good at their schools and all that. And it was kind of a pretty big decision. It's like, okay, interesting drama, all right. And then it goes back to where we are with the State of the Union and the attack on the Capitol, which pretty much took out everybody there. So he was the designated survivor at that night, and the Secret Service pretty much swarms on him. We get introduced to Mike of the Secret Service detail, who seems to be that big point of contact and character that we're going to be getting. So they pretty much rush him away into the White House as they're getting confirmation of who has been killed and who's left alive. So as that's going on, we also get introduced to the character of Hannah, who's played by Maggie Q, and I'm interested to see where they're going to be taking her character because she's at a party and all that, sees the attack, and we figure out that she's FBI and is going to the scene even though she was supposed to be called back to HQ. So as she's kind of paralleling Tom's journey as well. So they get to the White House, they swear him in because they've gotten confirmation that nobody made it out of the attack, which was a very well orchestrated attack because if it's able to take out all the cabinet members, save for one, that's a pretty big thing. And that's also talked about with Hannah as they're going through the rubble and they find a dud that looks to be of like Soviet era landmine rigged to be look like kind of what a terrorist organization would use. But she's already kind of debunking those theories, and also we're thinking, okay, if somebody puts a dud, that's supposed to be found. That's supposed to throw you off their trail. So she's talking about how she's looking up on her computer and she wasn't supposed to be there, and the director's like, all right, fine, you can help out and all that. And she's also trying to find her husband as well. she hasn't been getting call. She's been calling and calling and getting nothing back, and you can see the worry and everything of that. Maybe he didn't make it out. But this could also be another effect in that he could have possibly been involved in it. And she's talking about how no other terrorist organizations were like celebrating at this attack. Everybody's kind of quiet. And we also see that that's got an effect on the presidential side, and that when Tom is like talking with everybody and trying to figure out what's going on, and of course he's freaking out at this. He actually runs and vomits in the bathroom, which I thought was a nice touch because he has been thrust into this great role and responsibility, and he's got like no time to process and explain and everything. And of course we've got the general and the staff that's like, we need to attack hard and fast. We gotta go after our enemies. It's like we've got a lot of list of people who are calling to deny that they had done this attack. It's like people don't want World War III like this, and it's getting to that point. It's like, oh God, we've got a crisis and everything with Iran having their carriers try and go to the Straits of Hormuz, and they're thinking to block off. And Tom does a really good scene where he's sworn in and everything. He's doing his presidential best. They've gotten him a suit, which they actually took off another dude, which I thought was kind of funny. And he's talking with the Iranian ambassador and like, listen, you need to get recall your carriers, otherwise we're going to attack your capital. And he plays hardball, which we haven't seen him play hardball like this at this point. He's got to learn this and toughen this up and be like, listen, you got 3 hours to do it. Otherwise, we're going to take it as an act of aggression or war and pretty much go after you, which Iran doesn't want, and evidently nobody else really wants. We don't know who's behind this attack and what their ultimate goals are. And as he's trying to figure this out and like also get acquainted with like the nuclear football and all that, we also get the general pull aside the assistant to the chief of staff, who is, I guess, depending upon what happened, probably the new chief of staff. And he's like, we need to get this guy out of here. We need someone strong. So this military dude's already planning a coup on him. And as everybody's getting kind of acclimated to what's going on, they bring the kids in, and of course their son is at a party selling drugs. And it was really cool to see Mike just freaking go and take it, grab it. I was like, what the heck are you doing here? It's like, and Leo's like, how'd you find me? He says this whole complicated thing about the NSA, and he's like, really? And he's like, no, we pinged your cell phone, you idiot. And it's like, yeah, it's not that hard to track you, dude. You're in a technological age. And that's what makes this scenario even scarier, is that these people were able to do this without like setting off alarms or anything. And we don't know what their next game plan is. Probably thinking that they were going to have a weak person to be able to take out then to get into a better position to take over, I think. And it ends with him giving his address to the American people as the president. And I'm kind of interested to see what's going to be happening, because I really liked everybody's performances pretty much, except for the Leo kid. But then again, that's probably more to do with the material of the angsty teenager being a douche more than anything. But I really liked Kiefer Sutherland as Tom, and I just really liked everybody's performances in general. And I'm willing to see kind of where this show goes and where it's going to take us. So those are my opinions on this episode. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.